everybody. Welcome to the first edition of Honest Nonsense, where we will talk about the nonsensical world we live in as honest as we can.
I'm Gordie.
And I'm Walter. And we may have other business partners, or may not. We're unsure yet, but if those bitches want to get off their fucking asses and do something, they can. We'll keep them. They'll introduce themselves in the time being, or in the future,
Or they won't.
or they won't. We'll see. We're unsure yet of exactly where we're going, but
No, I'm sure they will because they're probably the only people listening to this right now.
yeah, that's true. That is true. But I guess not very good with introductions, which is why I'm not good at I'm also not good at going to a bar or something and starting conversations with
icebreakers.
Yeah, I'm not a good icebreaker. I need booze to be a good icebreaker.
Maybe that'd be a good name for the podcast. Icebreaker.
Icebreaker, not that.
Shitty icebreakers.
Fucking shitty icebreakers. We'll talk about like some of the other people that we'll be doing this with like to talk about sports more so than politics and whatnot. And I like talking about politics more than sports, but I will talk about sports too.
And I'd probably like to talk about entertainment a little bit more. Maybe like movies and TV shows and
like
that sort of stuff. And
yeah,
just pop culture.
Speaking of pop culture, though, the youngest Kardashian, what's her name? The one that I cannot think of her name because I'm not really into the. I just happened to see an
Either
article.
Kylie or Kendall.
Yeah, Kendall. That's Kendall Jenner.
Oh, Kardashian.
Kardashian. It's the one that's dating Ben Simmons, I think.
Oh, that's Kendall Jenner.
Oh, no, this is a Kardashian for sure.
The youngest one, I believe, is Kim.
Are you sure?
Of the Kardashians.
Oh, see, I do not notice it, but what I do know is that she is already worth $900 million, and she's like 20.
What?
Yeah, it's what Forbes said, anyways. I mean,
No.
but basically the article is that she's gonna be the youngest billionaire, because like Mark Zuckerberg was like 23 or 4 when he was worth. It's the worth of $1 billion out, like. What they actually have isn't.
I wonder what for, and I would imagine that it's the one that's dating Ben Simmons.
I believe so.
Okay, well, I don't know what she
But
does.
I'm not.
I know
See,
the slightly older one, Kylie, is like she's got like makeup lines and stuff.
yeah,
like that,
Kylie Jenner.
I could see that being.
I think that's who it is. I think she's only 20, right?
She might be like 21. The one
Oh.
that she just had a baby. I hate that. I know all of this.
But that's what you're here for. That's like going to be your niche, dude.
I guess if I live that long.
No, there was a while back. I only go on TMZ to watch like. I went on there to watch. God damn! See, I'm so bad with culture. Like the black guy that like will play the piano.
John Legend.
John Legend. Someone asked him. He was getting takeout.
Black guy who plays the
Like he knew what it was.
Stevie Wonder.
Yeah, Steve. Well, that's the thing. Yeah, Stevie Wonder. I'm just so in like the Donald Trump has just sucked me into the politics world that I just have like.
That's just entertainment, though. Really.
Well, yeah, and that's the thing too. It is just entertainment, but
and it's merged into pop culture.
Someone asked him about Sarah. What does he think about Sarah Sanders not being able to go to that restaurant? And he's like, He's like basically said like I don't give a fuck about Sarah Sanders. Like, reunite the kids. Like, who gives a fuck about her?
Wait, who said this? John Legend.
Yeah, John Legend
Okay.
to some fucking dude with his cell phone camera on him and shit. But another one I saw was someone from Cardi B's entourage. Like, someone who's like trying to get her attention, and he was just being annoying, and then he was like talking shit to someone in her entourage or like a bouncer or guard or whatever, and this guy just started beating the shit out of this guy. So
Damn.
that's the good thing about TMZ, you get to see some stupid shit. Speaking of pop culture, I don't know. See, I'm just blanking on names, man.
Try to explain it. But
He's
don't be
the white kid from Canada that does music.
Oh
Justin Bieber. he I heard that him and whoever he's dating, after like 3 weeks, they're like getting married or something.
Is she famous?
I think so, because they said Justin Bieber and blah blah blah. So it implied that people knew. I never heard of her, or maybe I have heard of her. I just would need to have seen a picture. I only saw a title of it. So
Pete Davidson and Ariana Grande are getting married.
Who?
Pete Davidson.
Who's Pete Davidson?
He's on SNL. He's a really funny comedian. He's a young guy. I think the roast of Rob Lowe, I want to say. He made some jokes about his dad dying on 9/11.
Oh.
Do you remember that guy?
Okay.
Hilarious.
Was he the one that said Ann Coulter looked like a scarecrow? Or he was like quite
I remember.
The best joke I remember, well, you reminded me of that one, but the one I remember is like him going, "Why are you here, Ann Coulter? Aren't you supposed to be in a cornfield scaring away birds?"
I think that might have been it.
How do you feel about, because you do like the roast movie, and the Rob Lowe one was really good. And honestly, before I go to my question, I first want to say, the first moment there's 2 moments where I really hated Donald Trump, and it was before the birther, or even like anything to do with political or running for president. The first thing was, or the second thing that made me hate him, I'm going to go in reverse. The second thing that made me really hate Donald Trump was watching that 30 for 30 ESPN documentary it was called Small Potatoes, Who Killed the USFL, and it was Donald Trump basically killed the USFL. And so I hate him for that fucking reason, because he showed that he's an entirely impulsive person who actually can't build a business from the ground up. He is too impulsive to do such a thing. And then, because he had his dad to bail him out when he'd fuck up with shit, and then he inherited a shit ton of money, so it's easy to be, you can see where he would get that impulses from. But the fucking first thing that really made me hate him is that I love like the Pamela Anderson, I don't know why I called her Pamela, and then the fucking Knight Rider guy, and
David Hasselhoff.
Like those two I really liked. And then they did a roast of Donald Trump, and he just, like, the other people, they can be self-deprecating. Like, they, even if they're faking it, they can at least fake being self-deprecating. Donald Trump was just straight-faced the whole fucking time. And it's just like, at that moment, it's like, dude, this guy is, like, just not a person. He is, like, I mean, you are just an awful person. Like, he has no ability to take jokes about himself. He hates them. You give him, I mean, Alec Baldwin, just the way he reacts to Alec Baldwin being him on SNL. Like, not a good, like, I hate, it's horrible impression. I mean, it's like, dude, you would hate anybody who did you, Donald Trump, man.
Yeah.
And made fun of you for, like, speaking with a 6th grade level of language, which I can do that. I'm not running the country. You cannot. So those are the 2 reasons I hate Donald Trump. But my question I wanted to ask you is, how do you feel about the Bruce Willis roast?
I don't know.
It hasn't happened, but how do you feel about, like, I tell you that Comedy Central is going to do a roast of Bruce Willis. Because weren't you pretty stoked about the Rob Lowe one coming out, or am I thinking of somebody else?
I wasn't stoked about it, but it was,
when you saw it,
it was good, because that was the one with Ann Coulter, right? It was basically a roast of Ann Coulter.
It was basically the roast of Ann Coulter, and then someone else said something about Peyton Manning, like his head growing, like, and shit.
I think that was Pete Davidson.
Yeah, Pete Davidson really definitely.
I think actually everybody made fun of Peyton's head.
Yeah,
size of his head.
It's fucking big, dude.
But yeah, for me, the roast kind of just depends on what comedians they get on the dais or whatever they call that. And
I think Bruce Willis is a Republican, so you could see some. I wonder what kind of Republican. I wonder, because I don't know if he voted for Trump, and so that could be an aspect of it, or I have no idea, because, like, James Woods has gone off the deep end, and so I don't really know. I don't think Bruce Willis has done that because I don't think I've ever really heard him.
Yeah.
Plus, Bruce Willis is still kind of in the movie scene, so he doesn't want to fuck with shit, probably.
Yeah.
Whereas
he
James
won't get work if he's.
Yeah, I think James Wood got his agency said bye-bye to him.
Makes
and
sense.
so, well, he defend. I'm sorry, but like, if it was, I mean, honestly, even them supporting George Bush, W would have been bad anyways, and shit like that. But it's just, if you want to support a fascist, like, sorry, like, you're gonna. Like, there's people. I read a thing or heard about people I used to work in the Trump administration, even not people we know of by name, but they complained about not being able to get dates and shit, or they'll be like, I don't tell them for like a while that I work for Trump, because if they're on an online dating site and it's like, oh, you're like, oh, you work in government, like, what, who for, what for? It's like, the Trump administration. Oh, fuck you. Bye-bye. Yeah. One guy even said something pretty gross where it's like, I wait. Yeah, like, it was a guy that was saying that, like, he waits to tell him. So basically, like, he gets laid and it's like, oh, by the way, I work for Trump. It's like, oh, great, I just had sex with a Nazi. Cool. Cool, when we win back America, I'm going to be the one that's going to be taken to the street and have my head shaved. So everyone goes, you had sex with a Nazi. That's what they do, like, in Holland. They had in Band of Brothers, they kind of show that where, like, if someone, like, in the show Band of Brothers, like, this girl comes up and kisses a U.S. soldier after they took the city back from the Nazis, like ICE has done to towns from MS-13.
Yeah.
Like that kind of style, taken back a town, and this chick comes and kisses this guy, and he's like pretty excited, and all of a sudden these other Holland townspeople come and grab her and start shaving her head because she had sex with Nazis while the Germans had it occupied. And so it was this their way of public shaming women who had sex with Nazis.
But what she's supposed to do.
I know, that's the thing. I mean, and that, and also, like,
she doesn't it, then she's
what it, yeah, like, you're trying to make it through the days, like.
Plus, you gotta get that dick dough.
Yeah, that too.
No, I think she was probably more scared of her life.
Like, yeah, that's like, it's either have sex with this Nazi or they might just rape me and kill me.
Yeah.
So it's like kind of stuck in a situation, but so fuck Trump. Especially because of his Supreme Court nominee, Brett Kavanaugh, or whatever the fuck his name is. Brett, I'm going to fuck America in the ass even more. So he was working for the special prosecutor, Ken Starr, who was going after Bill Clinton. Mm-hmm. And so he went after Bill Clinton for a blowjob, but now he saw the light, and now he thinks presidents should basically not be investigated for anything. So it doesn't matter that he's breaking the emoluments clauses, and he's still profiting off of the Chinese government has offices in Trump Towers. Never mind, he's profiting off of being president and all that,
paying off a porn star. That people in government positions like congressmen or whatever they have to go to Mar-a-Lago to talk to Trump. So he's profiting. They're paying for the rooms, and then at the same time the taxpayer paying those people to be there. Yep.
And so it's just a double fuck it's just people really don't care. And I wrote about that in a blog titled Making a Deal with the Devil, because that conservatives have decided that they are just gonna turn the other way to Trump's corruption, because he'll get them this guy who's going to get rid of in 2012 he was a judge that upheld a voter ID law in South Carolina, which the Obama administration said it would de-enfranchise tens of thousands of minority citizens. So he's gonna gut this Voting Rights Act, which, because black people should just trust the white man because there's history proves that they should.
Exactly.
Like, oh my god. So there's that, and then he's doesn't think Trump's. That's why Trump picked him, because he said that, and so he could be saying that just to kind of he's just playing the game to get there, but I don't really have hope at all because he's gonna get rid of Roe versus Wade probably, and so that's gonna suck for women. But I'm a white man, so I can impregnate a woman and fucking bounce, and no repercussions to me. That's what's. 5 men are gonna say that women cannot get an abortion, but you think they're gonna write in a law that says that men, if they impregnate a woman, they have to stay involved? You think they're gonna pass a law? Hell fucking no.
No.
Hell no. But it's really, this guy being the Supreme Court nominee really, it made me go back to, because for some reason, and also another reason why conservatives and just why this guy is insane is that it's actually pretty clear that Trump and the Russians there's something going on with, he praises Putin and then he shits on every democracy that we have an alliance with. So it's like, if he's not working for Putin, he's like doing a really good job of looking like he's working for Putin.
Yeah.
And in 2017, and this is why, I mean, Donald Trump always has hated his kids other than Ivanka because he can have sex with her, and so he likes her, but he doesn't like Donald Trump Jr. or Eric Trump, really. But definitely not Don Jr. because in June of 2017, Don Jr. Tweeted out emails he had with the music, the guy that would, I can't think of his name was Rob Goldstone. He was like the music promoter. God damn it. He's a fucking British music promoter. And so yeah, Donald Trump Jr. put this out on Twitter. Before I read this, I just want people to understand the context of this. So, Rob Goldstone on June 3rd, 2016 writes to Trump Jr. Amin Argalov, he's a Russian pop star represented by Goldstone, just called and asked me to contact you with something very interesting. The Crown Prosecutor of Russia met with his father Aris, a Moscow-based developer who tried to partner with Trump in a hotel project. Met with his father Aris this morning, and in their meeting offered to provide the Trump campaign with some official documents and information that would incriminate Hillary and her dealings with Russia and would be very useful to your father. So this is a Crown prosecutor in Russia giving information to Trump. But here's the sentence in this email that's pretty damning. This is obviously very high level and sensitive information, so that's why we're talking about this through emails. Fucking idiots. It's why John Oliver calls it dumb Watergate or whatever, or dumb Watergate, because that's what this fucking is dumb Watergate, and it's blatant. This is obviously very high level and sensitive information, but is part of Russia and its government's support for Mr. Trump. Repeat, is part of Russia and its government's support for Mr. Trump. So then he says some other things, but that's the most important part. Part of Russia and its government's support for Mr. Trump. So then Trump Jr. writes back, "Thanks, Rob, appreciate that. I'm on the road, and at the moment, but perhaps I just speak to Amin first. Seems we have some time, and if it's what you say, I love it, especially later in the summer. Could we call first thing next week when I am back?" So that is, even if they ended up providing Trump with no information, that's like them trying to work with I mean, it's blatant. It's so blatant, and it's only he tweeted out 4 pages worth of email, so it's like it would take literally 5 minutes to fucking read this shit. But you could fucking take the piece of paper like Rush Limbaugh does and shake it and have the emails printed out, show it to a Republican. They could have a conservative. They could read it and they just go, whatever. So yeah. Trump's doing things that I want him to do. He's destroying the environment. He's doing trade wars. He's gonna get rid of Roe v. He might get rid of fucking abortion. I mean, he is doing things that that fucking the people want, which is why I fucking hate Chuck Schumer. Because yesterday, watching the Majority Report, they played a clip of Chuck Schumer and then they played a clip of Merkley, and like Chuck Schumer literally said like Trump is doing what he told his people, like his voters, that he's gonna do. So basically, like, oh, good job, way to, like, you're saying, like, so that's just gonna help them out. And then Senator Merkley from Oregon was like, when he was out in front of the Supreme Court with people who were kind of protesting. It was the night that Trump announced Brett Kavanaugh. By the way, he made sure to do the reason Trump announced Brett Kavanaugh at 9 Eastern is because that's when Sean Hannity is on. But Brett Merkley was like, we are protesting this because this is a president who is under investigation, but more importantly, this is a Supreme Court nominee who thinks a president should not be investigated for corruption. And so it was like the two of them are just like two different wavelengths. Yeah. Chuck Schumer's this moron idiot. And honestly, and Merkley too, to Merkley's credit, he is the one that has really people were talking about the immigrants being put in detention centers and stuff, but like when he went down to Texas to try and get into one, like that's what really kicked this like movement of like following what the fuck's happening to immigrants. Like he was the one that really kind of propelled this movement of protesters and stuff. And so I really, honestly, I think he'd be a good candidate in the sense that Democrats, like the Democratic establishment, wouldn't like shit down his pants, try and fucking fuck with him, but then also like Democratic socialists and like the far left and the center could kind of both agree that they would sign off on Merkley, I feel like. So I think people would vote for him because like I'm terrified that I really am worried that this country is just, we're fucking done, that it's just like
getting more and more divisive.
Just getting more and more divisive, and like more and more divisive because it's like, dude, this guy is like so blatant in his racism, his stupidity, and all this stuff, and like, yeah, and then the right. Well, here, yeah, like I mean, like, because with this immigration stuff is insane. Like I've pretty much, my first blog was about Ben Shapiro. And you honestly don't need to read that one because I'm going to fucking write more about Ben Shapiro anyways in the future. Because he's just a total douchebag. And number one reason, and you don't even need to go past this one, but number one reason he's a douchebag, Bull Durham's overrated. That's what he said. And if you think Bull Durham is overrated, you are a douchebag, okay? Because that is the best baseball movie, hands down, that has ever been made. Like, if you think that it is an overrated movie and that's not the best movie, you cannot be considered the cool kid's philosopher. That cannot be the case. But fucking, like, I mean, it's just like an avalanche of this. First of all, they're separating kids from parents. People are cool with that. And then you hear fucking stories about, like, the sexual harassment, being called baboons, women, men being sexually assaulted, or being like, if you don't, literally ICE agents telling a guy, if you don't, or like possibly like, you give me a blowjob or I'm threatening to deport you.
Or pregnant women having miscarriages.
And then that's what I was about to say. Now I've been hearing about that, where last night I kind of wrote about that while drunk. Where it's just like now, like, because it's just like, I did a blog last night about immigration, and then I'm fucking around the internet looking for stuff to blog about next, and then I see that article about fucking BuzzFeed runs an article about fucking women having miscarriages, and it's like that, and that's like the other thing about this immigration thing that's really insightful. Is not only is the right and the religious right pieces of shit. Well, it shows that the religious right and the pro-life movement equally are completely and utterly full of shit about being pro-life, in every sense of the word. That you're cool with the separating of women and children. That these people are also, these are like the miscarriages, the separating of families, all this kind of shit. Oh, and also on top of separating, another thing before I keep going, they want to say that reuniting families, putting kids into foster care would be under the title of reunification.
Under what?
Reunification?
Reunification?
Yeah. Reuniting the family is another way of reuniting family members is by putting the kids in foster care, because they, for some stupid fucking reason, have either lost the documents or they have purposely destroyed documents. So it's like, okay, we have this kid, but like, who's your mom? Mom. Fuck. Like, that's why the judge said you had to reunite the families at this time period, and then the Trump administration woefully failed at doing it because they have to do all this fuck. They don't know who the fuck their people's parents are, and even that. So then now there's the miscarriages things, and then today I read an article where a mom is holding her baby or her young 2-year-old, 3-year-old kid, and the 2-year-old, 3-year-old kid who's been just so traumatized by this point, from not only leaving their country that they came from, but now what we've done to them on top of it, that they're crying for the person that was in custody of them when they were separated. Like, they're crying out, miss, because their brains have been fucked with. Like, these people, like, it's gonna be really, like, what these kids are gonna look like, be like psychologically when they get older. It will be very, not interesting or fascinating to see, but it will just, what are they going to be like when they're older? Like, to go through that kind of shit as a kid? Like, a lot of fucking crazy people have been neglected as a child. Like Charles Manson, like his mom was a junkie hooker who really didn't give a shit about him. And that just fucked with his brain as a young child, and so it's fucking terrifying. But I think too, though, the pro-life movement really, so like pro-life people like this pastor Peter Swanson, I think is his name, him and other people are like basically like, what, like pretty much saying like, why are people making a big deal about the separating of families when people are getting aborted? And it's like, well, because they're actual people, whereas like if like a fetus is a fetus, and so like I kind of care for the people that are on the earth at this point until and then when those people are born, then all right, let's go. But the pro-life movement, they're not for they're not even, not let alone that they're not for universal income, housing, welfare, or anything. They're not even for universal daycare. Like they're not for, they're not cool with paid paternal leave for a year or two. Like, they're not for anything that would sound pro-family or, pro-life or family values whatsoever. Like, it is fucking annoying. But I think this Trump's spiritual advisor, Paula White, kind of is another one of many examples of why the religious right and the pro-life movement have no real grasp of morality in any sense of the word. She went to place where they were holding children in Virginia, and she said that it is beyond phenomenal, White gushed. Not just 3 square meals, but psychiatric care, clinic, medical care, chapel, events, schooling, language, love. So I don't really believe the medical care because, as Gordie and I were just talking about, people have had miscarriages while in these things, so I do not believe so. But then she was asked whether her visit called to mind any biblical scripture. White made one hell of a pivot. I think so many people have taken biblical scriptures out of context on this. To say stuff like, well, Jesus was a refugee. Yes, he did live in Egypt for 3.5 years, but it was not illegal. If he had broken the law, then he would have been sinful, and he would have not been our Messiah. Now, obviously, a lot of religious people went to Twitter to remind Miss Paula White that Jesus got crucified. And he got crucified because he broke laws. And, I mean, never mind Deuteronomy or in Matthew of just... I mean, there's just examples throughout the Bible and the Old Testament of being nice to people who have a shitty go at it in life. But when I read her saying that, like, about, like, if he had broken the law and all, the thing that comes to my mind that all I can say is, Jesus fucking Christ. Jesus fucking Christ. God. So we're honest nonsense, and we've kind of gone through the honest part, where, like, if you want to look at things honestly, the right does not care about the rule of law as long as they get what they want. They hate democracy because they're willing to just do shitty thing after shitty thing. And then immigration, like, honestly, they have revoked any moral code that they want to claim they have any moral conscience or moral code. That is bullshit. But here's the nonsense, and who better to start off our first nonsense stuff with than Alex fucking Jones, who on July 1st said he predicted on July 1st that the Democrats would start the Civil War. In a tweet, he wrote, "Breaking," in all capital. Democrats plan to launch Civil War on July 4th. Alex Jones said that the global see July 4th as the new D-Day against us, and a lot of stuff is going to start them. A lot of stuff probably being like, oh, I don't know, the way that we're treating immigrants, and that the fact that the way we're treating immigrants right now is the way he has bitched about for years about how that's how it would happen to patriots. So they'd be put in FEMA camps and shit. And no, it's just immigrants. But in reality, immigrants are going through hell. And recently the Hammonds and Al-Qaeda, they get pardoned for burning government land, and they can arm, like, government buildings. Like, imagine if environmentalists did what the Bundys have done. They would have been shot dead on the spot. Mm-hmm. Or black people. I mean, they did that. It was the Black Panther movement, and literally every leader in the Black Panther movement either went to jail or was murdered. Like, so, it's just like, it's fucking, water protectors in Dakota, like, I haven't heard anything lately, but when they were doing the protesting, there were protesters who tied themselves to machinery, and they were going to court, and they were facing up to possibly 20 years. So it probably ended up going down to, like, 5 or something, but, like, think about, like, I mean, it's crazy.
And weren't they getting shot with tear gas and rubber bullets?
Shot with tear gas, bullets, a private contracting company will, like, really they're fucking paid. It's like mercenaries. The company Tiger Swan was hired by the Dakota Police Department, And they apparently the Intercept got documents, internal documents from Tiger Swan, and they were using language about the water protectors in the same way that they would have used language for like people in the Taliban or Al Qaeda. They're terrorists. Seriously, the bunnies get nothing. Oh, well, one guy did get killed in Burns, but he was driving. He kind of had it coming anyways. Whoa. Well, so I'm sorry, but if if an environmentalist did that, if a black person did that, they would have been shot too, and like people would say the same thing. I mean, he pulled his gun out, and so he was so the cops, they really could have just shot him in the leg. Yeah, but at the same time, he might. Yeah, I mean, but exactly, they don't.
He didn't pull his gun, but it looked like he was reaching for his gun.
Yeah, you can see why the cops would be a little, especially since he's coming from a culture that loves guns and we're gonna fight to the death for our country. There are things, but I feel like they didn't need that guy could have lived. Yeah. I felt like they could have just been like, put your hands up, pull your gun out, put it on the ground, put your hands up.
They were trying to do that, but
he just was kind of running, circling. Yeah, see that? Goddamn. But so yeah, Alex Jones, of course, that was really reminiscent of, I can't remember the guy's name, but he's dead now, but he was also like a conspiracy kind of theorist guy too, but he wasn't as insane as Alex Jones. And he was talking about how Alex Jones almost brought about the New World Order, basically, because then it was on New Year's Eve before Y2K in 1999, and he was like, people listening to Alex Jones that night would have been freaked the fuck out, because he was talking they're out with martial law and blah 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 blah, and that nothing's happened. And that right there, if you played people that soundbite, you would this guy is full of shit.
You'd think that I would discredit him, but nope.
But his audience, they're mind warped to a world of people that don't believe in reality anymore. Because, I mean, this one, the Democrats are going to start war on July 4th. Nothing's happened. They did a video where it was titled that Obama's going to kill tens of millions of people. And it was him, it was when he was trying to build relations with Cuba, where he basically said, there are some things that are good about capitalism that are good, and there's some bad things. And there's some good things about communism, there's some bad things. Basically, Obama's trying to be a politician, to be diplomatic, but then Alex Jones runs a thing that he's going to kill tens of millions of people. If that doesn't happen, his audience don't listen. And then this one, 4th of July. Fucking listen. Come on, people, let's go. He's full of shit.
It reminds me of freaking draft analysts, NFL draft analysts.
Yeah.
When they're wrong, they don't ever admit that they're wrong. But,
there's exactly. There's well, you can only guess. You can't. So well, then why'd you say that they were going to draft him? Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah, seriously though. Sadly though, he actually last week or the last 2 weeks, that Alex Jones wasn't the most insane person. It was actually Mike Huckabee. He went on Fox, and this is what he said. Well, it actually started with the election. In a free society where people choose their government, the one thing that is required for that government to survive is that people have to accept the results of the election. Conservatives did with Obama, where almost 50% of Republicans weren't sure whether Obama was an American or not. And then Mitch McConnell said we're going to make sure he's going to be a 4-term president. That's a politician. That's not even a person. But said, and what we have had since November of 2016 is that the losing side has not accepted the result. So what they have done from day one, from the moment this has happened, they tried to not only delegitimize the election itself, but they tried to commit acts of terror. And I use that word very intentionally, because when you try to change people's behavior by intimidation, by threats of violence, and by actual violence, and by boycotting them, and by taking away their liberty, that's terrorism. And what we are seeing, something, a form of terrorism on the left that is unprecedented in American history. So the KKK, what they did is not as bad as what people on the left are doing to today. Wow, that's weird. It's weird that actually the President of the United States talked about being violent, left and right, and that I don't know, like what was it Charlottesville, Virginia, where the guy ran over people. Like that, I mean, it's crazy. They're committing acts of terror, using their First Amendment rights. They're terrorists. That's where. Well, dude, you raised a daughter to be a morally bankrupt piece of shit. So, like, sorry that restaurant didn't allow your fascist daughter to eat dinner there. Like, maybe you shouldn't have raised the fascist, Mike. So, alright, I'm pooped.
I'm Gordie.
And I'm Walter. And that was the first edition of Honest Nonsense.
We would appreciate any and all feedback, requests,
Go to we have a Twitter page. I need to start posting some shit on Twitter. And
honestnonsense.com.
Yep. Honest-nonsense.com.
Oh, shit.
So.
honest-nonsense.com.
Alright, peace out.
Peace.